Hello and welcome to Infocus. I'm Bradley Valenaki. Now, as a child growing up, I remember watching movies on Wednesday nights and on Sunday nights here on MTV. Many times before the films, you'll see initials, PGR or M. This didn't make sense to me at that time, but now it does. And when we talk about this, these are ratings for content that's been able to be viewed by the children and also for matured audiences. And this is the work of the Censorship Office, and I'm privileged to have with me in the studio Jim Abani, who is the Chief Censor of the Censorship Office here in Papua New Guinea. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Bradley, and viewers of MTV.
All right. So, important work beyond just television. Tell us about the work of your office.
All right. The Censorship Office has been here for the last more than almost 30 years. The office has started its operation in 1990. Part of this function was under the Bureau of Customs, now known as PNG Customs. The provision which was taken out and established its office, Part 4 and Part 4 of the prohibited imports regulation, that Part 4 and 5, that particular provisions was taken out, and the Office of Censorship was established in 1990. So it's almost over 30 years now the office has been operating. Yeah.
All right. So when we talk about the words censor, it puts it gives the sort of feeling that you've been watched or monitored. So the work that the office does, they look at television and radio, probably other print media. Please clarify.
Yes, the word censor is basically it talks about cutting, cut some of those in terms of films, publications, that when it comes you cut and edit. So the word censor it's all about cutting and editing. That's what we used to do, and you can see how the time has evolved, and you can see the changes has taken place, and this cut and edit it's a bit challenging for us nowadays now. So when the Censorship Office was established at that time, you can watch any film that is or movies that have been imported into the country, or any form of publication for that matter. You can see and say that this is allowed and this is not allowed for publication. For movies, you will just see that particular scene and you edit, and then you can say approve or give okay for public consumption. So that's and MTV has been part of the development in the work of censorship when it established, and I can recall that.
All right. So the work of censorship, what mediums does it cover? Only for the mainstream or the others as well?
Censorship it's all about any means or medium of communication that involves or that comes into the country. We need to ensure that the content is always suitable and accepted by the viewers or the readers, or people who listen to, for that matter, radio stations. What sort of advertisements or the languages, the song lyrics that are aired for people for listening and observing. So it involves all form of medium of communication.
Okay. So in the past we only had television, radio, the papers, the magazines. Now we have the internet, we have social media. Tell us about the dynamics of all of this and how it has affected your work in the office.
Yes, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge for the work of censorship. The changes of technology has evolved, as I said earlier, it made us difficult, but you can see, things that has to come, it must start and end where the people who are receivers or consumers. So sometimes, the technology has made it very, very difficult for the workers. So in terms of us as a censorship office and as a head of the organization, we are saying that we are now shifting from censorship to classification and given that responsibility to the people to make choices whether what is good and what is not good for them too.
All right, we'll take a short break and come back on the other side with more. Welcome back to the program. You're watching In Focus. Now, still discussions on the work of the censorship office here in Papua New Guinea. We'll talk about classifications now, from censorship to classification.
For instance, movies, when they come into the country, we classify and then give that ratings, PG, M, or R, and then give it to the industry to ensure that that movie is played or that particular ad must come on in which prime day times, so that the children who are watching must be, they accept that it's a general exhibition for everyone to view. So we are now moving, we are moving from censorship to classification, where we give ratings and then people decide what sort of movies that they want to purchase. For instance, at Paradise Cinema, the officers view and then give the ratings. And then, you cannot stand there and control, say that you're under that age and you're supposed to be going in, and it's up to the owners of Paradise Cinema to ensure that if it is over 16 or 18 years and above, making a general assumption that that person is above that age, so that you can go in and watch.
It's just like trying to sell cigarettes to people, but those selling the cigarettes have to are responsible for selling the cigarettes and not selling them to minors.
To minors. That's a similar concept that we are. So, for instance, the EMTV, the movie, before it comes on, we want to see there must be a consumer advice. So before the movie comes on, consumer advice is telling the audience what sort of movie is expected from that particular show, so that if it is for adults, it's for adults, and the children can take early bed or something like that. So that sort of practice we are now trying to move in now, shifting from censoring to classification.
All right. So you spoke a little bit about classification, and you mentioned advertisements. So the office also looks at advertisements as well.
Yeah, of course. Advertisements, sometimes advertisements are done in a way that our children's mindset are distorted or they've been carried away. So, for instance, what if one advertisement says that you're just jumping over from third floor of Garden City and then getting on the show? These sort of things. We need to ensure that we see the advertisements properly done in a way that accepted by all audience.
All right. So there were some examples earlier on where we had a video clip that was released, had girls really dancing in bikinis, and there was an outcry. This day and age, is it still acceptable here in Papua New Guinea?
Bradley and the viewers, Papua New Guinea is made out of over 800 or 1,000 tribes, huh? And we have our cultures, and we have the Christian beliefs that we have, and the cultures that we must uphold. And such clip that it went on here, and people, there was an outcry. So the censorship office has to put a stop, because you are just deviating the Papua New Guinea ways of doing to other Caribbean content where it is not seen in our society. Yeah. So is that the message that we were trying to tell our young, for that matter, the young girls, to behave that way? And also we want to see that your actions and how you conduct must be more decent. The word is decent, yeah? And appropriately accepted by the community. So therefore, the office has stepped in to stop that.
All right. Mr. Bani, just looking at the, nowadays, you have foreign video clips streaming through the airwaves here in Papua New Guinea that actually have women in bikinis, but it's still acceptable. People are still watching that. Why not something produced in Papua New Guinea and we ban it?
You can see that there's a difference there. What is produced and accepted in their country it's normal for them. Once we import and bring overseas, content into Papua New Guinea, let's always maintain that Papua New Guinea is a Christian country, and also we have our culture that needs to be protected. It needs to be protected, and we need to uphold those values that the country's standards sets for us to continue to maintain.
All right, we'll hold that thought there. We'll take a quick break and come back on the other side with more of Infocus. You're watching Infocus. Welcome back. Still on our discussions, very interesting discussions before the break. So the work that the office is doing, we spoke about an example of a video, a clip produced here in Papua New Guinea, and also content coming from outside, and we're showing it on our screens. Mr. Bani, the EMTV is one channel. On the other side, you have NBC, also one channel. There are others that have multi-channels. How do you censor these platforms?
Well, MTV and NBC, the content, sometimes the NBC brings its movies to our office for seeing, classifying and approving before it goes on air. For MTV, because of its sister, I believe it's a sister agency, or it's been aligned to Channel 9, if I can recall, some years ago. All the programs are viewed through the television. Programs are viewed through that satellite to via MTV to Papua New Guinea viewers to see. So at that time, the office had that they should give self-censoring powers to the MTV to take on board, so that it can take that responsibility on censoring before it is viewed by the rest of Papua New Guinea. So that has been a practice that we have been doing, and for other TV companies, you have multiple channels there. Like I said earlier, now we are shifting that responsibility to the people. If you find that that content is not appropriate for the family to view, then why, making a choice there? You need to, regulating yourself to switch from that channel to another channel so that it's for all family to view. So, it's a simple standards that you have to set in your homes with the family to have that decency and respect must stay within your homes and also the community as well.
You spoke about standards. So these standards, does a person set it or people set it? And who are involved in actually setting these standards that you're talking about?
Well, classification guidelines standards were set by the Office of Censorship within the context of Papua New Guinea, its values and the Christian principles that we have, ensuring that the content and the standards must be aligned with what our constitution and other relevant legislations that applies for us to ensure that it's decent for also. For other standards being set by the other authorities as to, we have to match and come with it so that you can see it's acceptable for all Papua New Guineans because this is our country and we want to maintain that standard must be at all times.
Okay, so another question that comes to mind is, do we accept to see, alcohol on our screens? Is that acceptable?
Well, alcohol, it's something as when I got appointed as a chief censor last year, and one of the things that I decided is that to bring all the advertisements to censorship office so we see what sort of advertisements should be allowed for public viewing, and that is something that now we are starting to exercise that and calling all those companies that who are doing ads to bring so that it has to be vetted, classified before it goes because sometimes alcohol, we promote and who are the viewers who are seeing that that particular ad supposed to be that for particular target. It's been seen by minors also, so you can see what the influence does to the mindset of our people. So that's why we try to ensure that ensure that the content must be okay for for everybody to accept in their society or for instance in our country.
All right. So this week on Thursday we have a new National Censorship Policy 2 coming up. What's different in this new policy document?
The last policy, it lapsed in 2018, from 2014 of 13 to 2018, which the policy, it has its own core focused areas which we wanted to achieve, and basically we were just aligning our policy with the censorship or classification of publication censorship act, because that's the act that we were implementing. So for instance, ensuring that the classification is to be given the ratings and ensure that all premises must be registered and try to protect the unsolicited things and accept, for instance, the materials that are illicit must be protected. So from children, from accessing and all those things. So the new the policy 2 that we have is just carried forward from the last policy to the policy 2 that it's not new. It's just some of those things. Let's say 5% of what has not been achieved, we are now bringing to the new policy. And And in the new policy, the number one focus areas that we want to see is the sustainable partnership with other stakeholders, that we need to take that approach in order for us to polish this, the policy that we are going to be launching this week.
Chief Censor of the Censorship Office of Papua New Guinea, Mr. Jim Abani, said thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Bradley, and thank you, viewers of EMTV.
All right, all the best in your policy launch. We have come to the end of the program. If you have comments on this program, you can email us on the email now showing on your screen, or you can engage with us on our social media pages, or you can catch this program a little later on YouTube. Stay safe. Bye-bye.